Hello everyone, welcome to day 157 of playing chess every day for a year. Let's find the game. We're starting as black here and we get e4, so I play the Caro-Kann. They developed their bishop to d3. Very weird move, I haven't really seen much of it before. Could just take and then go after the bishop. Seems good. Could also just push now. I think I'll take and just go after the bishop with my knight on f6. Do have checks with my queen, but that's if the bishop moves. The bishop has to leave now. I could gambit a pawn to... the bishop would be able to take, so it wouldn't really stop the king from castlings. I should just develop normally here. Don't want my bishop to be trapped in, so I think I'll just develop the bishop first, then play e6 after. This knight also can't develop now to f3. If the 7 moves, I could play queen b6 to attack this, and also to attack. So here I'd like to keep this pawn to be able to recapture this way. I think I'll go here, just so that if we take, if check I block, so that's fine. And then I'll be attacking this, so I'll go queen b6. Pushing looks interesting, but I just take. I'm attacking, queen b6, I'm attacking b2. Have pressure on d4. I could develop this knight next to have another defender on this. They stop me, but now I have a check, and if they block, I can actually take here. So blocking with the bishop's a blunder. I think they have to block with the queen and go into a queen trade. If they block with the pawn though, I just go back. Blocking like this is a blunder. I take and I'm attacking this. I'm quite sure they have to block with the pawn. They have to play c3 and they do. Now I can just go back to defend my knight. I can't really stay around here, my queen will be hanging. I could counterattack the queen, but there's no way to do that right now, so I'll drop back. They've made weaknesses on this side of the board. My bishop's quite strong now, although it's just staring at nothing. I'd like to trade off their dark squared bishop. I'll play h6 to force them to either go back or trade. This knight can't really develop. This one can only go to d2. After I trade the bishop off, I think I'll just push and get my king castled. The knight develops. It threatens to come here, but I think if the knight comes here, I just step here with check. Could also stop the knight from coming in by playing b5. b5 looks good. It does weaken this a lot, but that's okay. So I think I'll play b5. Just stops the knight from tempering my queen. Stops any pushes. It seems quite good. I am defending this still, so my rook is on a weak diagonal, so I need to be careful with that. If they push, I just take. My bishop's quite powerful right now. I have to trade this piece off. If they go back, I guess I'm able to develop my knight almost. They developed their knight, but that seems not great. I can't pin the knight, but now I can just force the bishop away. I needed to leave. I'd like to get my king castled. That's an annoying move. If I take, my queen can just... No way to attack this rook. There's no way to counterattack their queen. I could trade my bishop off. I also could just move the queen and develop normally, but I'm fine with trading this and pushing. I'll just develop slowly. This is still defended, although my knight will be very weak. I need to get into the game. I could have ideas of pinning this pawn to the queen. because they haven't developed their queen yet. They castle now. Bishop here doesn't seem so good. I think bishop d6 is fine. Just slow development. Then castles seems good. This move's actually a good threat. Hits the bishop and threatens me. Queen f4. If they block this way, that doesn't work. Yeah, so queen h4 looks very good. I hit the bishop. They stop me from playing that before I even make that move, which is very interesting. I really want this bishop off the board because this is very weak. But for now, I'll just castle. I can centralize my rooks. I can also defend this with this rook. Although I really don't want to play this move. Also, if they develop like this, I need to be careful of this battery. And they're really extending all their pawns, which weakens their position a lot. Their rook is very open now, so I have to remember that. I'm not sure if this rook move to the c file was good. It does free up my knight, but my knight really has no good squares. Long term, I would love it to be here, but it's not possible right now. I need to free up my rooks though, so I think this move is actually good. To not hang this pawn. They have threats pushing, I just take, but then they can take with the rook, and that's annoying. Push, if I push, we just trade, so that's fine. They're not really threatening anything here. I'll just slide my rook over slowly. This knight is really just blocked in by the pawns at the moment, so it actually only has one square I can go to. They are threatening to take, which would be very annoying. So I have to push. But then if I push and they push, I can't recapture. I could take and allow the rook in, and then I could go here to pin the rook. So takes, bishop takes. This move doesn't achieve much. I think if I push, and if they... So I push, they take, I take. This is defended. I push, they push, takes, takes, this rook hangs. But I can block. I push, they push, takes, takes, blocks. This bishop is very weak now. If they choose to push and not take. They choose to push. I can actually choose to push myself, which is very funny. We have a disgusting structure. But I think it benefits me. If I take, I'm not, but if I take, the queen also takes, which is terrible. I can push myself. I can finally play knight d7 at least, just holding everything. This is a terrible structure. Our pawns just are all blocked. Can't move anywhere. They choose to push. I can just develop my knight. They are threatening to take here, so I could defend with a6 and then develop. I could also just take. Take if they push. I take. I choose to take. They just take. I can now anchor everything with this knight move. I need to reroute this bishop to a different square because this bishop is very terrible. I also need to take the open file with my rook. Maybe I have ideas of coming in. Their structure is actually better. They have a pawn much closer to my king and closer to promotion. But I need to make the most of my pieces, so the queen comes in, it targets the knight. I think, I mean, knight b6 looks so natural. The queen, knight b6, the queen can come here, but can't come here or to the back rank. Knight b6 just looks like a natural move. Tempering the queen. I could step up to defend the knight with my rook, but I don't think there's any need for that. Knight b6, I'm also keeping pressure up on this long term. Both our bishops are horrible. They're very, very weak. The queen has to move, and the queen can't really move too many squares. There is this one, but then I develop my rook, and I have threats if they go to this square. And if they go there, which is a better square, I think I can still threaten to bring my rooks in. Could also double up now, which would help me very much. Rook to the b file is definitely a good move. My knight can't take at the moment, but my idea is just to double up. Our bishops are terrible, but they can't really move. They just defend. They hold the pawns together. Very weird position. The knight moves, threatening to jump in here with a fork and hitting the bishop. My only way to stop that is... Wow, that looks like such a blunder. If I take, they can't even jump in, because I just take. And I'm threatening this. So that was a terrible move from my opponent. They were threatening to jump in and fork me, but I'm actually the one that's threatening to fork them now. And if they still choose to jump in, I have a fork first. So that's a huge blunder from my opponent. If they do come in, I think I still just go for the fork. I'm happy losing a bishop. They move their rook to defend their own fork. It's a good move. Now I think I continue my plan of doubling my rooks. Our bishops are very bad. I do have a skewer here with my bishop, but the knight's defended. I'll go for doubling up, which is a simple strategy of coming in my rooks. And I guess if they challenge me, that's very annoying, because then my back rank's very weak, but my knight's quite good here. I'm always threatening to jump forward. And also I have ideas of pushing this pawn, which would enable me to give a check on this diagonal. I think my rooks coming into the second rank would just be very strong for me. The bishop actually moves to attack my knight. Maybe my knight should retreat and then I can push. I could also push here, but that just gives up a full piece. I do see tactics of when I push, my queen opens up. If I push, they take. Wait. If I push, if I push, they can just take the pawn. But then I come in with check. And it gets very complicated, so let me see. I push, if they take, I have a check, and I think I pick up the bishop, I'm quite sure I do. So push, takes, check. The king has to move. If the king moves, I take the bishop. If they block, they can block like this, but then I take. And push, if they take, I still have a check. But then the king just moves, and I could pin the bishop. Pushing is so interesting, but if I push and they take, I'll go for the push. They can't really take the knight. That's a blunder. It just loses the bishop. If they do take the pawn, I still have a check, and my knight is always threatening. So they do go for that, but I think I just have this. They must move the king. If they block like this, I take. They don't really have anything here. And if I take, the knight's also pinned to the queen. King steps over. Pick up this if they take here. It's actually an interesting move. I don't have anything here. This is hanging now, so it's actually checkmate. Wow. That's actually so unfortunate for my opponent. I didn't even calculate this and I still found the move, so let's look at this game. I played with an 83, my opponent played with a 72.9. I had 3 mistakes this game, my opponent had 1 blunder. I want to see what my mistakes were. They also had a miss. I played like a 1700, my opponent like a 1200. So I played the Caro-Kann. I choose to take and kick the bishop. This is just fine. I'm actually slightly better here because I'm targeting this. So they push. Check isn't the best because they can just kick my queen away. Now this move was a mistake because I could have kicked the bishop straight away here. Because this allows them just development, which is bad. Very bad for me. They put pressure on my position. I should have traded this bishop off earlier, like the computer says. I do it 1 move later, but this is actually bad for me. But that's just a mistake because I can trade this knight off. I can't keep this knight on the board. I have to trade it off. I can just push e6, slowly improve my pieces. Rook over here was okay. It's actually best to go here. I'm not sure why. I mean, it does line up the queen, pinning the pawn to the queen, but I'm not sure. I had to try and develop this knight. So here, because they push, I'm able to push, and if they push, I can push also. It's actually better here to just go for this, or because if they take, I have a check, picking up the queen. And if not picking up the queen, it loses material for my opponent. So just trade here, develop my knight. They target my knight, so I develop it back. I take the open file with my rook, it's good. This is a big mistake from my opponent. They're winning with this move. They're losing, it gives me a pawn. That's not a mistake. My opponent can threaten my knight here with this move. I guess they'd have this, but the queen over forces my knight away. And this would also be a fork on my pieces, so that would be very annoying. But they miss it, they play it with the wrong piece, which lets me push, and pushing is a mistake because they can just take here. No, they can't take here, that's a terrible move. B takes c4 is best. 1 second, I am confused here. So that's a miss, their best move was queen over. But here pushing's a mistake because they can take the knight. And I guess they do win a pawn, which did happen. They did win a pawn back, so it was my mistake. But instead they took the knight. I mean, they took the knight. I give a check, and then that's just a big mistake. I win the bishop. And my opponent actually missed that. I thought that they're tempering my queen with this move, but they're actually not. If they take with the queen, they are. But they actually play a blunder. Rook takes e4. Gives me mate on f1, which is very funny. And I get the win. I'm happy with the win. My opponent blundered here completely at the end. And I get the win, so that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.